Good afternoon, everybody. It is Savannah Rose again, and I'm back for another video. I've been having a hard time getting myself making videos at specific points of the day, so I figured that I was going to do something kind of different and interesting and take a video talking to you guys while I'm doing my makeup and getting ready for my second job. Today's topic is going to be a very interesting walk that I went on the other day. So I'm just going to be doing my makeup and talking to you guys about this walk that I went on, and from this point on I will not be editing any of this video. So let's see how this goes. The case is such a mess, I can't find anything. It's just a big cluster fudge of stuff. So I was on a walk like 2 days ago, and I needed to mentally decompress. I've just been incredibly high strung, stressed about working, stressed about getting my personal trainer stuff done, and my boyfriend and I had a conversation where he essentially told me that all of that stress was getting to him as well, which he doesn't usually let me know, and I was very thankful to hear it because I needed to, so that I could actually make some changes in myself for both of us. So I went for a walk, and I started by listening to heavy metal, thinking that maybe I would get my emotions out since it was very loud and I could just express myself. But instead I couldn't hear what I was thinking. So I needed to take a little less dramatic approach. So I started listening to this artist that I'm going to see in September. And you'd think that because I'm going to see them, I would know what their name is, but I don't recall, so I'll have to leave it in the description below and have an example of it in the video. But I was listening to this very spiritual, it's yogi music, yogi type music. I don't know if that's the proper phrasing I'm learning here. But yeah, what you would imagine to be kind of just very spiritual, very mellow music. And I was kind of putting it on lightly in my headphones as background noise because I just needed something to kind of keep my thoughts in alignment with the way I was feeling. So I was asking myself how I was feeling, and it actually was very difficult to think for a little while because I was just so ridiculously overwhelmed that I could barely form a coherent sentence of thought in my mind. So I continued to focus myself in and really try to get a hold of myself, and eventually I start kind of hearing this voice, and I was like, oh, okay, I hear, it's probably just myself and another version of myself talking about the way I'm feeling and being like, yo, you need to chill out. And as the voice gets more and more clear, I realize it's not just one voice, it's a combination of voices. I'm like, okay, it's kind of weird, but alright. And I'm just unloading my feelings, and apparently my makeup case because I can't find my primer. Haha. As I'm unloading my feelings and thinking more and more, I'm starting to get lighter, and I'm starting to feel more focused and more in alignment with the way I was thinking and feeling. I could actually think a coherent sentence, which sounds weird to be like, oh, you can't think a sentence, but I get so overwhelmed and emotionally worked up and so not present that I have a hard time even thinking straight a lot of the time, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that too. So I started hearing this voice, and it turns into kind of a speaking choir of voices. I would have to elaborate more on that, but it was like they were all speaking in one tone, but they were different voices, and they weren't singing, so that's why I say the choir. They were all in tune, and they were telling me it's my responsibility to partake in. They were saying that you're aware, you're conscious, you're one of the only people who wants to be so open and so just mentally there. And I can't remember the exact phrasing because it's very intense in the moment type situation. But they said, you are one of the chosen people, you are one of the few that is willing to be conscious and present enough to listen to us. And I was like, this is really weird. I don't know what's going on right now. Pretty sure that my mind is just making things up. And I don't do any kind of drugs or anything at all. Like, at all. I don't drink anything. So I was like, okay, that's a little different. It's a little strange. And I continued to listen to them. And they told me, like, it's your responsibility to save us. It's your responsibility to save the earth and to share all of these messages about, and I knew what they were talking about because I've been so incredibly worked up over the way our planet's been treated lately. And, you know, I wasn't raised to be I don't want to use the term, but for lack of a better term, tree hugger. I was, just averagely raised, save, recycle, save electricity. But my parents still do things like throw wax-covered paper plates into a fire or whatever. And so it's been on my mind. And so I knew what they were talking about. And they just kept saying that I have to learn. I have to learn from people so that I can teach others and help prolong the life of our earth because we are destroying it at such a profound rate. And this all came from just being super worked up and super like, I need to take a break. I'm going to go for an hour-long walk. And I was like, I don't know if I can do that. That's a really, really strong, hold on. It's a really high expectation. Like, what if I fail? I know how I'm going to do it. I want to get to know these people. I want to connect with these people on my blog. This is like my goal. And everybody who knows me knows that. But I was like, what if I fail? What if I can't take this? What if it's too much work? What if this and that? And I just kept asking because I was so afraid and so unsure of what the hell they were talking about and trying to tell me to do. And they just kept telling me that it was my responsibility, that I had to do it, and that if I failed, things would just stay the way they were, so I just needed to do it. And so I continue through this walk, and I'm listening to them, and I always forget to include this part of the story, but right when they were telling me that it was my responsibility and that I needed to help people to realize and understand the importance of saving the earth and the importance of changing their ways, when they said, like, you are one of the chosen, in like a matter of 15-20 seconds, just felt this incredibly overwhelming feeling of all feelings. Like, I felt fear, I felt joy, I felt love and excitement, and just all at once I had all of these intense emotions overcoming me that like felt like they were sent to me. I felt like they literally came rushing at me, and all of a sudden I'm just feeling all of these things. And that was part of the reason that I was actually like listening as if this was coming from something else, because I don't know what that was. I don't want to say that it was anything, and up to this point, I'm one of those spiritual but not religious people. I don't follow any kind of specific religion. I was raised Christian for a period of time, and then after that point, I was just undecided, really. I believe in some Buddhist principles, and I like to follow them, but beyond that, I don't align myself with any specific religion. So I was like, okay, I don't know what's happening. Like, is God talking to me? Or is the universe sending energies telling me all of these things that I need to hear? Or am I attracting these energies to myself because this is what I believe to be true? And all of these crazy emotions were overcoming me. And I just kept asking, like, how do I know that this isn't me? How do I know that this is something else telling me, like, this is my destiny? And I asked them that, and they just said, you'll know soon. And I was like, what are you talking about? And they just kept saying, you'll know soon. And I was like, okay. And they just kept telling me to be present and to be open and to be myself and be aware. And so I did that for the rest of the walk. I was just very, very open. I was very peaceful and very observant of everything around me, of all of the plants, and I noticed things that I wouldn't have otherwise noticed because I was paying so much attention. I noticed like the little spider webs on the traffic signs and the like interesting abnormal plants outside of houses that I never even knew were there before, and I've walked that route since I was a kid. So whatever that experience meant, it did something for me, and it awakened something within me, some new, I guess, passion to live and for life that I had resting dormant within me, because life gets hard and I'm working 2 jobs, and you know, how do I know that I'm going to be successful, and how do I know this is going to work out? I'm sorry, I really like highlighter, and I'm going to fix this, but this is what I got going on right now. And then at the end of the walk, my dad ended up picking me up because I was like, hey, I went for a very long walk. Can you grab me? And he picked me up. And on the way home, I saw a license plate that said Psalms 40. And I was like, okay. I kind of ignored it. I was like, that's kind of interesting, but I'm not religious. I don't believe in God or whatever. And in the moment, I was like, I don't believe in God. I'm not religious, so I'm just going to ignore it. So my dad looks it up, and I'll leave a link or something in here, but it was along the lines of God picked me up from the like slime and the dirt, put me on a rock, and something along the lines of I praised the Lord and I thanked him and I knew everything was going to be okay, and something about like singing a song for the Lord. I'm totally butchering it, so I really hope if you're religious that you're not offended, because I'm trying to remember exactly what it said, but that was along the lines of the message, which was insane to me because I had just gone on this like spiritually awakening walk, not expecting any of that to happen, and all of a sudden I'm sent, it seems, or I attract a Bible passage that essentially is saying that I went on a spiritual journey where God saved me, and I don't know, I just feel very touched, and I've never had an experience like that before. I've meditated and had like out-of-body experiences, or so it seems, where I essentially imagine like my entire life as I want it to be and as I've created it in my mind, but that was entirely new for me. And what was crazy was that a friend of mine had called me and told me he had a similar spiritual awakening, but he was under the influence when he went through that. I was stone cold sober, and I don't know, it's just so interesting to me. And in like those couple of like sequence of days beforehand, I had a few people tell me that talk to me about God, and not necessarily tell me to believe, but talk to me about him. And you know, while I'm not religious, I am supportive, and I am very compassionate with other people, and I like to hear the way what people believe in. And so I listened, of course, and it just was all at once. It was a very strange occurrence for me, and I don't quite know the meaning of it. And I am not one to jump into, oh my gosh, I believe this now, but I have to say it was a very, very interesting, coincidental turn of events. So, on that note, I know I'm still just kind of doing my makeup and talking, but that was what happened, and that was my experience. If you have had a similar experience, leave a message in the comments below. and I will comment. Please don't comment on my makeup skills because I'm not super seasoned in makeup and I am just going to work, so. Okay, well, I shared that with you, and that was super personal, I guess. Personal and just strange, and how do I explain this to you type situation. So I apologize if I was running on quite a bit, but I wanted to get a hand at talking to you guys unfiltered and just being myself and being on camera, because I try too hard to put on this presence and act like I'm this person so that you think I'm this kind of way. And I'm kind of sick of that because it just makes everything a lot harder. So let me know what you think, and I hope to see you guys in another video. I mean, I hope that you guys want to see me in another video, and I will connect with y'all soon. Have a great rest of your day, and peace!